Well, welcome everybody. Greg, thank you. It was great to see not only a vision for the future and where we must go, but also a pragmatic plan for focus. In my 14 years here, it's been a great journey working with you as we've transformed from e-service and call center and email into what is now a paramount differentiator of customer experience. When I'm working with you guys and in the field, and as Manish will talk about here today, how do we then begin to talk about true business strategy, connecting the challenges of customer care to customer advocacy and then to board level KPIs? It's a real challenge today as we look at what is customer experience. How do we tie it to acquisition? How do we tie it to retention? And not just effectiveness, but efficiency. So Manish, welcome.
Thank you.
I know you've been coming from Microsoft and now at Yahoo, lots of challenges, lots of a highly competitive environment.
Very.
And it's interesting as you've been there and you've now formed this customer advocacy group. And a lot of companies might talk about that or frame that, but maybe tell, what does it mean to you? What is your vision for how you'll execute advocacy in your organization?
So let me start with, let me tell you a story, Marcus. True story, 20 years ago. And as you're thinking of the story, as you're listening to it, think about something which Greg said. He said, customer care is no longer about problem resolution. And I'll tell you the story which goes with it. So, like I said, true story, 20 years ago, I came to this country from India, used to driving on the wrong side of the road or the right side of the road, whichever way you want to say. Third day on the road here, I caused a 3-car pileup.
Welcome to America.
Welcome to America. Thank you. Now, this is 20 years ago. I have no cell phone. Cell phones didn't exist as much as it is today. Third day into the country, I didn't even know what 911 meant, let alone have the ability to go dial it and all of that, right? Somehow, my insurance agent gets to know where I am and that I have caused this accident. That was problem resolution. He was contacting me from a problem resolution, right? Here's what he did. He sent an ambulance, took me out of the road, sent a tow truck, took the car out of the road, got it to the insurance companies, got 3 codes or whatever process they had to go through, totally realizing this is the 3rd day in this country, so I probably don't know all these processes, right? Gave me a rental car till my car was getting repaired, sent the rental car to my apartment. 3 days later, when my car was repaired, he actually brought my car back, picked up the rental car, did all of the above. He went that much more than just solve my problem. What did he get? 20 years later, I'm with the same insurance agent. I've gone from 1 car to all my cars, both my houses, my boat, et cetera, life insurance, all of the above. He wasn't doing problem resolution. He was doing way more than that. Now, I'll give you the kicker. He has moved 3 companies, and I've moved with him. Never price shopped, never did any of those for changing my insurance company. So let me tell you how that insurance story has changed my perception of what customer advocacy is, right? So this is, in my view, what customer advocacy means. It starts on one end of the spectrum from pure, simple customer education. I'll give you information about my Yahoo products, how do you use mail, how do you use Messenger, what is OMG, what is Shine, et cetera, right? Then you get into a personalized view. So if I know you, which like Greg talked, we have to start knowing who our customers are, then I start educating about what you want to see because I know some things about you rather than giving you everything there is. Somewhere in the middle, customers will land up in problems, so you do need to care about them, you do need to support them. But very quickly it becomes into let's engage the customer more, let's upsell them, let's cross-sell them, let's get the whole spectrum going, right? And that is what we are driving towards as customer advocacy.
So if we take a step back and we say, okay, Greg laid out a vision for the future here that we all buy into and we all look forward to participating in. We map in a pragmatic approach on these 7 steps, okay? And now we're seeing this advocacy. We've all had our own personal experience, like yours. But everyone's busy. They've got more calls. They don't have enough budget, right?
Yep.
And they're trying to figure this out. How do you start this transformation?
Yep. So it's interesting. You know, most of our support models today, definitely the 3 or 4 I have seen inside and out, are actually built on a philosophy of the volume comes in, all the volume is treated equal, right? And we basically go either sequential or some line of algorithm we put on how we process that volume which came in.
Sometimes I race phone and chat same time.
Yeah, you can do 3 chats at the same time. You can do phone and chat at the same time, which is highly risky. I've had people do you know, Twitter, Facebook, different channels, combine them all together, right? So you're going from one channel to multi-channel at the same time from an agent. But it's basically, from a customer viewpoint, your volume is treated pretty much the same, right? I think what you need to start getting at, and this is the process we are going through with Yahoo, is it's a 3-step process for us. Some companies will go through a 4-step process. So the first thing to do is, as you're analyzing these incidences which your customers are telling us, the best thing you can do for the customer is eliminate those problems in the first place. If these are known issues, bugs, product problems, product A doesn't work with product B, whatever the combination is, take it to your product teams. Get it resolved. The best problem is the one which never happened for the customer in the first place. Eliminate it, right? Now, not everything can be eliminated, otherwise, you know, we wouldn't have customer service and customer agents, and that whole industry would not exist, right? The next best thing you can do is start automating it. Customers want to solve their problem. Customers want to solve their own problem on their own time, and it's only when they cannot solve it do they want to pick up the phone or chat or whatever other mechanism they want to, right? Automate it. Give them, whether it's as simple as self-help, or for a Microsoft-like environment, we built a tool called Fix It, which would actually download on your PC and figure out where the memory leaks are happening, which applications are going through issues, and would actually tell the customer, you will have a memory problem in the next couple of days if you continue using. Do you want me to take action? So there's 2 extremes of automating, but you know, somewhere in between, automate the rest of the issues. And then what is left over, you have much more time per incident. You have much more ability to go operate on it, which agents have to do. And now they are actually operating on things which are tough, which the customers didn't or couldn't operate on themselves. And there are newer problems, and then you can show the empathy and the advocacy which we've been talking about. Now, there are some customers, some types of products, which you will go to the 4th stage, which is server-down situation. You need to fly somebody in. For our Yahoo, we don't do it. For a Microsoft, we did. So, you know, I just put that for the completeness of the diagram, but it doesn't exist for Yahoo.
This was fantastic for me when we sat down. Boy, it was December last year.
It was Christmas last year.
Christmas last year when you first came on board as a Right Now client. And it was very interesting to look at how Manish took this and broke each of these down. And it was almost like a mind map, if you will, on saying, okay, what can we eliminate? It was an excellent self-assessment tool that he took us through on how you could analyze your own business and start breaking this down into bite-sized pieces, and then develop a plan for there. Now, eliminate, I pick up more time, right? Then I can go focus on automate. Again, I'm picking up more time, and I get to operate. Now, tell us a little bit how Yahoo does this. You're in 3 separate groups for these phases today.
Yeah, we are in 3 separate groups, and we have these groups form the audience team. But it doesn't have to be 3 separate groups, right? As long as the 3 functions are there, it could be all within one group. Right. But the audience care group in Yahoo has 3 different functions, and there are 3 different VPs who run each of those.
So we got our experience improvements, our cost savings on eliminate, same on automate, both from self-service and social. Operate is your baby.
And that's operate is mine.
Where did you start? Where do you go next? How do you not just, it's easy to do efficient, but how do you focus on effective?
Yeah, so again, it's the same thing, right? Our model was based, a couple of years ago, our model was based on X number of incidences come in. We try to hide ourselves. You know, the support is kind of hidden, right? You have to go through 2 levels of clicks before you find out. And then for people who find out and they want to come and talk to us, it's all the same. You know, Joe is the same as whoever comes in, whatever the intent is. So there's no concept, or there wasn't any concept of customer value, or like Greg talked about, customer intent. What is the customer coming in for? So let me give you another real story, right? This was 2 years ago. I had just taken over as VP in Yahoo. My CEO calls me at that time and says, panic cry. You know, my account has been compromised. Somebody else has access to my user ID password. Don't know who it is. I run a separate home-based business out of that account. So she is, or she was, the CEO of that home-based business, which she was running from that account. So the account was a critical account, and it was like the CEO's account, right? That was compromised. And within minutes, my son calls me, says, you know, Dad, I want to act cool at school. He's a teenager. I want to create this dual-horned green icon. Can you find out and tell me what are the key symbols I have to press on this type of a phone so the dual-horned icon with the green face comes up, right? 2 incidences to me as the agent that day, right? One was a CEO, absolutely critical, need to work on it now. The other one was, you know, it would be great to help my son, and you know, if he heard me say it would be great, he would say, it's absolutely critical, it's absolutely urgent. But you and I know, you know, that's one which we can say, you know, comes second, right? Yeah. And I was thinking, you know, if my agents had got those 2 calls, in the sequence, reversed the way I got it. My son calls first. What would I do? What would my process do? My process would actually pick the first agent, give it to my son. My son would have a conversation. They would go out and solve his problem first, while this CEO's account is which has been compromised, is still waiting in queue. Not acceptable. And that's when I came up with, our service needs to be determined, differentiated on who gets what type of service based on the customer value and the customer intent. And I classify service into 3 categories. I have a category which is called wow the customers. This is for the CEO who's lost his account, who's absolutely critical, his intent is great, wants to help us. Second one is a normal customer experience, a good customer experience, not a wow customer experience. And the third category, and this is some of you might freak out on the third one, no support.
No support?
No support.
That's not me, though. Mine's routed.
Yeah, yours is the first category, right?
Just checking. Just checking.
Third one, there are going to be customer values, customers with low values, customers with intent. So let me give you an example of what is no support. Customer calls in, whoever the customer is, high valued like you know.
Thank you, Manish.
And says, you know, my intent is to report that there is some abusive terms, abusive statement on the news article which has been published on yahoo.com. Customer has a very good intent. They want to report an abuse which is happening on yahoo.com. Why do you need an agent to give support? You take that and say, well, Mr. and Ms. Customer, thank you very much. We'll take care of it. Route it to the right location and take that content out. So not everything has to be actually supported by an agent, even though the customer is calling us, as long as the problem gets resolved, right? So yeah, there are 3 categories in that differentiated service, totally based on the customer's value and the intent.
Now, of course, you have self-service, you have social for this no support area, so it's not complete no support, but did you have pressure from above in carving that off?
Yeah, you typically do, right? You typically get pressure. A support person comes up and says, you know, one of my offerings is going to be no support. That's like, you know, you took back, what, no support?
Yeah.
Really? Right? And you get the same. But when you put the ROI on it, when you put the cost on it, when you put the value of the customers and how much you can move your higher valued customers, and how much you can move your low-valued customers who are not going to buy. If you put those in perspective, I think it makes sense, right?
Again, looking at acquisition to new markets, retention of existing, while still achieving efficiency and effectiveness. So, the next big challenge, so it's great to get this mapped out, it's great to do the segmentation and understand that, but you still have agents.
Absolutely.
They're still humans.
Absolutely.
They still make mistakes.
Yep.
Agent outsourcers, you're insourced and outsourced. A lot of organizations we work with, 20 to 30% turnover. How do you create a culture of a great agent? Codify it, orchestrate it, repeat it in a way that differentiates for long-term advocacy?
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things, my sister was educated in Wisconsin. And the first time I go to Wisconsin, I come out of the airport, there's this big sign which says, happy cows make better cheese. What does it have to do with customer care and customer support and customer advocacy, right? Here's what it has to do with customer advocacy. Happy agents provide much better experience to the customers than an agent who's basically repeating steps. And yet, what we do in customer care, customer advocacy, customer service is we provide scripts, processes, procedures. We basically gut the agents so much with all these processes that they basically take away their ability to think, right? And then we tell them, go do this 10, 15, 100 times an hour. Think about their customer satisfaction when they go back home. What are they thinking? I did process A 100 times. I did process B another 100 times. How exciting is that, right? So we got to make it exciting for our customer agents as well, because the moment it becomes exciting for them, the experience for the customer goes up, right? And here's what we have embarked on, a journey which is not complete, but we basically are converting them from solve the same problem to write articles which can solve the problem for the customer. Here's what I mean. When an agent sees a problem which is in our knowledge repository, right? You basically send a knowledge article and say, Mr. Miss Customer, this is the problem, it'll solve it for you, here's the article. And you kind of educate the customer, you can do this by yourself. You can go into self-help and you can do it by yourself, right? But then you see those incidences which come in, which don't exist. And that's where the agent has to go troubleshoot, set up an environment, look at what the problem is. That is what is exciting for the agent. But then you make it one step better and you say, write an article which solves that problem for the customer. How do the customers see the symptoms? How do they solve it? And you write an article for your peers so they don't have to go do the same research again, and actually even for the customers so they don't have to come to you. And imagine what happens. The customer agent writes it once, puts it in the knowledge inventory, and the next day he or she comes in to work and realizes the article he's written has been downloaded 10,000 times in 5 different languages, 4 of which the agent can't even speak, read, or write. The process went through translating it, put it up in French, German, Italian, what have you, got downloaded in those languages as well, and solved problems across the globe. That's a much more exciting environment for the agent.
And rewarding.
And very rewarding, right? You go back and say, I solved 10,000 issues in 5 different languages, 4 of which I don't even know. Wow, right? That is the environment we give to our agents. And like I said, we're embarking on this journey. We are not all the way there, but that's where I want to see my agents. They become not just solve the same problem 30 times an hour or 10 times an hour, but write those articles which solve it 10,000 times for the customer in multiple languages.
And stewards of the experience. One of the breakthroughs for me where the light clicked on as Manish was telling me the story, it again all sounds very practical, very pragmatic, but it wasn't until understanding as the graphic from the screen shows, the eliminate and the automate. That's what freed up the time. And so that allowed for the differentiated service and the segmented service to then go create this wow experience and this more rewarding, valuable agent experience. So It's interesting as you go through today. Today is about strategy and transformation. Your breakout sessions will get into solutions and the products and how to use them. Again, as we think about the vision of the future, you think about the pragmatic 7 steps to transform. How do you go and analyze and assess your business? And so, Manish, this has been fantastic to understand your vision of advocacy and how you take customers through that process. Your transformation initiatives of how you kind of mind map out where to start on those 3 things. But if there were three or four things to take away, what would you leave people here with that they could take back personally into their business and begin instituting change?
Yep. So before I do the 3 things which I'd leave everybody, one more piece to add on the eliminate, automate, kind of what you started talking about, right? Few of you might even be thinking, and I sure started thinking of this when I was creating the strategy, if I'm going to tell my agents to write articles, to take more time with the customers, where do I get the extra budget from, right? And I'll tell you, yeah, everybody had their hands in the pocket, right? The eliminate, automate is what is funding all of the everything else. The extra time for every customer to write the articles is all being funded by eliminate and automate. And over 2 years, our budget, even though we are doing all of this, our budget for care overall, the audience care, is actually declining. We are taking in more incidences, self-help plus agent experience. We are spending more time per a customer. We are writing more articles, which actually then goes back and says, self-help will automate it, right? So it's a vicious cycle. And our budgets are declining, right? Which, given our current climatic environment, nobody is complaining in Yahoo.
Right.
They actually want to accelerate that decline, if anything, right? So let me leave you with 3 things. The first thing which all of you probably have is lots and lots and lots of metric. Customer care metric, resolution rate metric, average handle time metric, all kinds of metric, agent specific, customer specific, process specific. And most of you, at least I was the same way, I used to be looking at, over a period of time, are those metrics going the right way? And if they were going the right way, success, right? What I missed in all of that was, what is the story? What is the problem which the metric is telling me? And it's never about one metric going down. That doesn't tell you a whole story. How do these relate? Find out what the story is, what your customers are telling you based on the combination of all these metrics, right? That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you have to decide which are your hired valued customers, what are your hired valued intent, and provide an experience much higher for those hired valued customers and hired valued intents. And something step down, you may not go all the way up to no support, but something step down so you have a process for differentiated environment. And then last but not the least, use your tools, metric, process, everything which you have to empower the agents. We put so much pressure on the agents in terms of processes. Tell the agents, you are the brand ambassador for Yahoo. You are going to solve the problem for Yahoo. You are customer care. When a customer calls you, you are Yahoo. You are not one agent who is outsourced sitting in India, or you're not one agent who's sitting in Manila. You are Yahoo. You are empowered. And if the process stops you from solving the customer's intent, customer's problem, I authorize you, go break the process and tell me that our process is broken. We'll go fix the process. And you will see the agents start using a brain, not just using a process and the 2 hands and 2 eyes. It's very rewarding, a little scary for us. But when you actually start seeing what the agents are doing, they are wowing customers much more than the same process could have done.
Well, that's fantastic. So takeaway today, as you're going through, how can you pragmatically drive change in your organization? You've got your vision, you've got your implementation plan, and now hopefully we've given you a few tidbits of how to begin the transformation and self-assessment. So please join me in thanking Manish for his time today.
Great, thank you very much.